Hey Hannah, I'm just testing one more time just to make sure you can hear my vocals because I changed the setting. Sounds fun.
I can hear
Okay.
it's loud in the classroom though. I don't know if it's like just
Okay, say
I can hear you, but it's loud in the classroom, so it's kind of overpowering.
oh, okay. It should be fine when they're not talking, but okay.
Hi. How are you? Good. How are you? Thanks.
Hi. Can you guys hear us on the Zoom? Zoom friends? Cool. Great. Okay. Sachi, do you want to take it away? Okay. All right, everyone. Well, I'm excited for today because we got through all the troubleshooting yesterday. Everyone will have their interfaces and the cables. I checked them all. They should all be working. So we're going to get into recording your vocals and playing around a lot more today. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Before we get started, wanted to see if anyone had questions from yesterday's lesson, any thoughts, concerns, curiosities about today. Just for like 5 minutes, go through anything in the room, and then of course our Zoom friends as well. And then we'll get started with the lesson plan. But yeah, any questions from yesterday?
Yeah. Yes. And what's your name?
Yeah, we're gonna need to go through and get everyone's name again before the end of today. So we will do that. But yeah.
So we didn't really get into science questions. We kind of like just touched on it. I know it's complicated kind of unique, or like maybe just touch on it.
Yeah.
Of course.
Let's talk about what different types of signatures are. Yeah. Right now. Yeah. So let's talk about time signatures. Time signatures are two numbers. And so the top number is how many within each bar there is of the bottom number. So if we're in 4/4, the top number means that we have 4, and then the bottom number is, if it's a 4, that means a quarter note. If it's an 8, it means an eighth note. If it's a 16, it means a 16th note. So, or if it's like a 2, half note, 1, whole note. So if we're in 4/4, which typically most music is going to be in 4/4, or most Western music is in 4/4. That'll be 4 counts of 4 quarter notes within each bar. So typically you're gonna stay in 4/4, but let's say we're in 6/8. So da 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 like a waltz. Then we're gonna have 6 eighth notes per bar. So if we're doing 3/4, kind of similar to 6/8, so it's da 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 da. 3 quarter notes per bar. There's 7/8, which is kind of an odd meter. There's 2/4, which means 2 quarter notes per bar. So typically you're gonna stay in 4/4, but if you realize you're writing in a different time signature, you wanna change it so that the metronome lines up with whatever time signature you're in. Questions on that further?
And I'll just add one thing on that. So I can't imagine anyone working in a different time signature other than 4/4 or 6/8 to start. Like that's generally what you're gonna be doing. So a bar of music is really, it's a way to understand where you are in the musical piece. So if it's 4/4, a quarter note, yeah, there are 4 quarter notes in that bar. So 1, 2, 3, 4, new bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, new bar. That's how and you can feel it. And we're not going to take time during this class. That could be a whole other lesson to like give musical examples and talk through it. But the main thing to feel, like Sachi mentioned, is a waltz is the easiest way to know if you're in 6/8. It's that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Da, da, da. When you have that feel, there are a lot of ballads and waltzes and stuff like that where it has that kind of swingy feel to it, and then you'll know that you're in 6/8. Again, it could be another 3-hour course for us to go through different time signatures and why they're important, but just know the difference between pop song generally 4/4, unless do you guys know the song Love on the Brain, Rihanna?
Yeah.
6/8. Yeah.
And there's also false.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly, 3/4 for that one, yeah.
Cool, we have a Zoom question.
Yeah.
Raman Kimmy?
Hi, yes, thank you. I have 2 related ones. The first one, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, cool. The first one is, I don't know if this is possible, but would it be possible to record a vocal and then do put it in a MIDI track and then Command K it and like play the vocal as an instrument? Is that even a thing, or am I just like in that?
Yes, completely. That's how you make vocal chops. And I can, maybe during the break, I can show whoever wants to pay attention, I can show
We should
it.
do like a little advanced class on vocal chops.
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
everyone's gonna love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I
so
tried it.
We'll do that, but
That
yeah, show that today if you want.
It's
Amazing.
doing that is a skill that's so useful because as Sachi was talking about yesterday, the Apple loops and splice loops, everyone has access to those. So as soon as you start getting familiar with how to use Logic and you have something in your brain, you want to get it out of the speakers, being able to record stuff into a microphone, load it into a MIDI instrument, create new instruments and sample packs is how a lot of producers or artists get their signature sound. So learning how to do that with the vocal first, but then you can clap into the microphone, you can load the claps and make drum beats on a MIDI keyboard, you can make anything. It's freedom. It's really, really exciting. So we'll get into that today for sure.
Yeah.
Great question.
Other questions?
Oh, she had one. Do you have one more?
Sorry.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I don't want to monopolize the time, but just the second question, if we have a 1-track instrument, are we able to, in that same track, put like low pass filters or any effect in pieces of that track? Is that possible?
Yeah, totally. It's called automation. And I can talk a little bit about automation too today because that can help us with fades. It can help with some like cool low pass filter on like the beginning of a vocal. Otherwise, you would have to just have 2 different tracks that is the same instrument basically, and then one track would have that plugin and the other one wouldn't. But there's a way to keep it on the same track if you wanted to automate it on and off.
Yeah, and Well, yeah, you should definitely talk about automation a bit today, but I would also just give you guys the homework to Google it. Like Google automation, YouTube has a ton of videos that explain step by step how to use automation. It's really helpful, especially again, you're gonna have a thought in your head. It's coming up to the pre-chorus. You want to filter everything so it sounds small, and then have it be really big on the chorus. How do you automate filter to make that happen? YouTube will tell you how.
Yeah. Anything else? Unless you had another question. Okay, cool. Any other questions from yesterday? Yeah. So I'm going to start sharing screen. Everyone can follow along on a new session. And then if you want, when we give break time, or sorry, like time to work on whatever you want to work on, you can either work on something new or continue what you were working on yesterday. Oh yeah, totally. So the plan for today is going to be, I'm going to first run through, kind of recap yesterday of quickly getting through a session, setting up my session to have some tracks that we can record into. Then we're going to start talking about recording with the gear that you guys now have. So we have the interfaces all set up. We have the headphones being able to work. If there are 2 headphones on your table, you can use some of those. If there's not, we don't have any extra headphones. But everything should be able to work now. So I'll show how to track vocals or track anything through. Is this like a weird, is it cutting? It sounds weird to me.
You guys can hear it, right? You can hear it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, showing you guys how to track anything with a mic or anything through an audio interface, whether that's like guitar, your vocal, a piano, guitar and vocal at the same time. But talking about gain staging, which is how loud should something be while I'm tracking into Logic, whether I can hear it that loud or not. So we'll talk about gain staging, let you guys record a little bit of just your own vocals, not to any music, but just getting sound into Logic, play around with that. We'll take a break around 6:30, 6:45, come back, I'll show you guys how to get some more MIDI instruments in there, some tricks with MIDI, and then just have you guys make some music. 8 to 16 bars, yeah.
Cool.
Sound good? Yes. All right. Let me share screen. Hey Hannah, can you please open it up?
Yeah.
Also, hold on.
Okay, so everyone should have a new session, right, Sachi?
Yes, new
Okay.
session, but you can also follow along with me.
We'll come back to that, but a new one for this. It'll get confusing if you have you guys have a lot of tracks there, so.
All right, cool. So we're gonna open up Logic. Empty project, details, just making sure it's all looking like mine again. I'm gonna leave it to output device so you guys can also hear what's going on. My input device is gonna be that, because that's my interface. Sample rate at 48, everything else can stay untouched. Oh yeah, you guys all have your interfaces now. Let's make sure they're all plugged in actually. So make sure on the back of your interface, the USB-C connector is plugged into your interface and then straight into your computer. It's actually fully set you guys up.
If anyone, so when you plug it in to your computer on your desktop, you should see it pop up. You'll see a little red icon.
Fully missing, okay.
What's missing?
Headphones? Sorry. Most will only have one at a table. Headphones, Alex? So you should have your interface plugged into your laptop, and then your interface should be on, so you can see that there's like a little green thing that's like glowing. At the same time, on the desktop, it should say Scarlet, but you don't have to click on it. Then you take your microphone. Anyone's interface not working, not turning on? Yeah? Do not click on it, just, it should be there. So it's not turning on at all? Okay. Yours, the interface is on? Okay, great. And yours is not working at all? Yeah.
Is the output supposed to be from the interface or?
Yes, yes. So in your logic session, input and output should say Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, or whatever this is called. Yes. A splitter. Oh, if you have two headphones on your table, put one into the front jack and put the other into the left jack on the back. In the back. Yes. The one that says left. Yeah, you had a question?
Yeah, the inputs and outputs doesn't.
What does it say? Any other questions getting the Focusrite to turn on? Cool, if you have that going, and I'll get Alex to get to your table next. If you guys have your interface on, plug your mic into your interface into input 1. So the female end goes into your microphone, male end goes into the interface. And then plugging your headphones into the front jack, the front headphone jack on the interface, and then the back, if you have two headphones, into the back, into the left jack.
Anyone else having trouble with their interface? Huh.
Be right back soon.
Dahlia and Amal. You guys already have 3. Is there another group of 2? Any group of 2?
So it just was, it didn't show up because you were on the menu before it was plugged in, or before it popped up. And so I can see that it's there. Just want to make sure the input is also Scarlett Solo. Anyone else interface issues? So create the session. I'm going to open up an instrument track. And just to double check that my interface is correct, and this is really important if you guys ever want to switch out your interface, go to Logic, Preferences or Setting, Audio, and it brings up this menu here. So if anything's wrong with you not getting any sound, or your interface seems like there's getting sound into the interface but not into Logic, go into this preference setting. Make sure core audio is enabled. That means that it's actually connecting to an interface. The output should be, for you guys, Scarlett Solo USB is what it should say. I'm sending mine to the Zoom audio device because it'll send out to Zoom so they can hear. Your input should also say Scarlett USB or Scarlett Solo USB. Mine is my interface. Another important thing that I didn't mention yesterday, so we talked about sample rate yesterday, which is how many samples is in a second, or every millisecond. So 44.1 means there's 44.1 thousand samples within a second. 48K means that there's 48,000 samples in a second, just higher quality. Next thing is buffer size. So buffer size is how much latency am I gonna get because of the processing power I'm giving my computer. When you're tracking, you wanna have your buffer size as low as possible without your computer stopping the session or having any clicks or pops. Typically, this is gonna be 128. 128 is fine. If you have a newer computer, like an M1 or M2 Max, M1 Max, those are really good. You can go down to 64. 32, you're gonna start getting into some trouble and your session will just stop immediately because it doesn't have enough computing power. So when you're recording something, whether that's using an interface or using MIDI, you wanna do the lowest possible buffer size. So I'm gonna go with 128. When I,
Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. Someone who didn't have a laptop or who had a laptop didn't show up. So I just need to take a second to rearrange some
Okay.
people and get them on laptops, and I don't want them to miss
Yeah,
this. So
totally.
just 1 second. Okay, so we'll have an extra laptop when she comes. Okay. Any group of 2, raise your hand. 2? Okay. Any group of 2. Join them. Anyone else? Do you need a station? Yeah. Okay. Maybe.
Back up?
2 steps
Yeah,
back.
totally. Yeah, I'll back up for a sec. So we're in our logic session. I have something going on, but I just want to make sure that my preferences are set properly. So Logic Pro, preferences or settings, audio.
So everyone go into that setting there. If you click on Logic Pro, go to settings, and then click on audio.
Yeah, follow
Second.
along with me. And this goes for any DAW. This is the same information within Pro Tools, Ableton, FL Studio, Logic. This is important information, not just pertaining to Logic. So core audio enabled. If I don't enable it, it turns my output and input devices off. So it's not allowing any sounds to actually happen. So making sure that's enabled. Output device should be, for you guys, Scarlett Solo USB. Mine is Zoom Audio. The input device, your same Scarlett Solo USB. Mine's my interface. Yeah, Martina, did you have a?
Oh, sorry. My mistake. My bad.
Oh, okay. You're good.
We got one question here.
Yes.
The buffer size, does it depend on the laptop itself, like the process?
Yes. Yes.
Do I pick the 256 like you, or do I keep it 128 like?
So let me explain a little bit more, and then I'll go into what's best for your computer, because I don't know what these computers are, but I can probably have a good sense of it. When you're recording anything, whether that's using an interface for audio or using a MIDI instrument to just play something in, you want to be able to have the buffer size the lowest it could possibly be without it stopping your session. And so the reason it would stop your session is because there's too much information that it can't read at the same time. So think of it as like water going into a funnel. If the funnel's hole is really small, it's going to take longer for the water to come out on the other end. But if the funnel is bigger with the hole, the water will just fall through. So if the buffer size is smaller, think of it as a smaller funnel, but this is good for recording because there's going to be less latency. If there's a bigger funnel, which means a higher buffer size, it will allow more to fall through at once. And this is good for listening back, listening to your mix, or mixing, because then there's more processing power being able to work all of those things.
Do you guys know what latency is?
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Sachi, can you explain it real quick?
Yeah, so latency is when I'm speaking. So I'm speaking right now. It's taking like a second from my mouth, or sorry, not literally a second. It's almost instant from my mouth to your ears. But within latency, that means that it's taking longer from it coming to my mouth, getting into Logic. So the higher the latency is, it's just not going to be in time with the way that you sang it. And if you're listening back using input monitoring, which I'll show you guys when we start recording, you can hear the latency. So as you're singing, you can hear what you just said like a millisecond or 40 milliseconds ago, and it's gonna distract you and sound out of time. So for buffer size, when you're recording, lowest possible that your computer can handle. I know my computer can handle 128 fine. Most computers can handle 128 fine. If you have a really good computer, you can probably go to 64, even 32. I wouldn't bank on 32 being that useful, but 64 should be fine on a really powerful computer. And then when I'm just listening back, if I'm gonna bounce out my session because the song is over, or if I'm listening to my mix, or if I'm in the process of mixing anything and I'm done recording everything I needed to record, I would bump it up to the highest buffer size that I have. That way it's using the most processing power available on my computer. So I'm just gonna leave that at 128, yeah.
So when you go lower, it makes it heavier on the laptop.
Yes,
What about higher?
it's easier on the laptop, but there's more latency. That's the whole reason why we change it, because if you're recording, you don't want any latency, or as little latency as possible, but it is gonna be harder on the computer. Yeah. Questions on buffer size? Yes.
What's a healthy latency?
What's a healthy latency? One that you can't hear. Yeah, that's the real answer.
The main thing with latency is just when you're recording and then all of a sudden it's like when you say something, so it's shifting and it's distracting. Sometimes if the latency is really bad, the recording will actually come in late. And then if you're singing to drums, you think you're on time and then you listen back to it and everything is off time. Yeah, it's a real pain. So it's something to pay attention to when recording. Generally, if it's a fresh session with not that much stuff, if you have it at 250 or 128, you're not going to be thinking about this. But as you add more tracks, it'll start to happen.
Yeah. Yes.
So is buffer size just a way to explain managing latency based on your laptop?
Yeah, that's a main reason. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well done. Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions on latency, buffer size? It's important to also change it back if you are changing the use of the session. So if you start mixing something and you realize, oh, I need to record some vocals again, make sure you change it back to 128, track those vocals. You might run into it freezing your session, like stopping because you have plugins on it, other instruments. That in that case, you would have to do something called freezing your tracks, which it'll just freeze the tracks and there won't be any more processing power on the tracks there. And you can then do it without latency, yeah.
Do you have buffer size 128 for only vocals?
Recording anything, at all. Anything that any new information you're putting into Logic in real time, you want to put it at 128 or a lower latency, lower buffer size. Yes.
So if I have latency when I'm recording, one thing that might help is like freezing all the other tracks and then just have one that I'm recording.
If your session is that big, then yes. But freezing is
not that big, but like
then yeah. Freezing is also different from something called bounce in place. Freezing is just a button that it'll freeze the thing and you can unfreeze it at any moment. Bouncing in place, which I can show later, which you're not going to really use today, is completely bouncing what you have in there and you can't change it.
making it an audio.
It'll make it into a new audio with no plugins. Yeah. So I'm leaving this at 128. Another thing, and pressing apply. Another thing with latency is there's actually a button to do this for you. In a way, I would still change your buffer size, but if there's still latency going on, go into, sorry, I need to find it. Low latency mode. So under record, there's low latency mode. If you turn that on, it will turn off any plugins that are taking too much of your processing power. It'll freeze things in place. It's not a substitute for changing your buffer size, but it will still help at least a little bit. So I'll leave that on because we're gonna track something anyways. Cool, so we have our stuff plugged in. let's quick talk about mics again, because I want to add 2 other microphone types in there and talk about this little thing in my hand. So there's 4 different types of microphones. Yesterday I said there were dynamic and condensers. Can someone who remembers explain a dynamic mic or some qualities, some uses for a dynamic microphone? Yes. Yeah.
In the studio, if you're really recording a really loud voice.
Yeah.
I sound like Billie Eilish.
Opposite.
Isn't that the dynamic one?
Condenser.
Condenser.
The other one. Yeah, if you want to sound like Billie Eilish, just use a condenser mic. That's
And whisper.
and whisper. Make sure you can't be heard. Yeah, so another thing with dynamic mics is that you need more gain. And gain is just power to get the mic to have any sound to go into it, to get into your interface. So dynamic microphones need more gain than condenser microphones because condensers are, I should stand right here so you guys can see it. Because condenser microphones are getting power from phantom power. So if you look on your interface, there's something that says 48V, and that's phantom power, also known as 48 volts. You turn that on when you're using a condenser mic. If you turn it on when you have a dynamic mic plugged in, it's not gonna work. Like it will not get any sound from the mic. It won't break your dynamic microphone, but it will break another type of microphone. Yeah. On the interface, on the red box. Yeah. You press it when you use a condenser mic. Yes, not a dynamic microphone.
So we don't press on it when we're using this one.
No. If it's on, it's not gonna harm your microphone, this microphone, but you're not gonna get any sound. If you have a condenser mic, you do need that. If it's not on, you're not gonna get any sound from it. Can someone give me some qualities of a condenser microphone? Or kind of the opposite, yes.
I can pick up the lowest noises
Like the quiet,
and quietest.
yes, it's more sensitive, essentially. What else?
I feel like they're more crisp.
Yeah, there's typically more high end, so I can hear the crispiness of a vocal or of a hi-hat or of any instrument. The frequency range just has more brighter highs. Yes.
I don't know, but it picks up this part only. But the condenser microphones have different shapes on the side, so we can basically up from the back or to the front.
So that is not true. That's a different type of quality of microphones in general. So the microphones you have in front of you are called cardioid. Cardioid means that it's making a heart shape and it's gonna be most sensitive in front of where the sound source is. So this is a cardioid. There's also a hypercardioid or a supercardioid mic, which means it's just more sensitive in the front, and the sides are gonna be less sensitive than a cardioid. Then there's an omnidirectional mic, and no matter where you are in relation to the microphone, it's gonna be picking up the same sensitivity all around the mic. And then the last one is a figure 8, which means that the front and the back are the same sensitivity levels, but the sides are essentially nothing. No, people usually use a cardioid.
Cardioid, yeah, because they just want the voice. They don't want any noise in the room. Oh yeah, if there's one mic in the center and 2 people on either side, that's a figure 8. They have it, so if they don't pick up on the sides, they pick up on the other side. And then if you've seen old Beach Boys footage where they're all around a microphone, that's omni, so they're capturing from all around it. So you can,
Yeah.
they have their uses, yeah.
So these direction types are different than the microphone types. So let me, now that I've explained what those are, there's cardioid, hyper or supercardioid, it means the same thing. And omni directional, and figure 8. So that's one category of explaining a microphone. Then we have the microphone type. So we have dynamic microphones, which we have talked about. Condenser microphones, which another thing with condensers is that they're not so good on the stage because they are so sensitive. Like what happened to me and some of you guys yesterday, there was a feedback loop. If you have your microphone that's a sensitive condenser microphone on stage, it's more likely to pick up the sound from outside of the stage, which is where your speakers are. So if your speakers are playing what's in the mic, it's just creating a feedback loop. So typically don't have condensers on stage unless you have a really solid team that can pull that off, because there are stage specific condenser mics, like from Telefunken or Neumann, but it's not common. Then we have tube microphones. So a tube microphone is basically a condenser microphone, but it has an external power source. And within that external power source is a tube, like this little voltage tube, kind of like a guitar amp. So it's the same thing. So there's some warmth to it. There's a vintage quality because there is this analog external source, and it's not just a standalone microphone. So same qualities, it just has an external source. Yeah, I don't have one with
Very
me.
long. Isn't it like very long?
They can be, but that's not a defining feature. No.
Is it non David
I would have to see what it is. So you can't, when you're just looking at the mic, unless you know, like a Telefunken 251 or a Neumann U47 are famous tube microphones because they're incredible. Neumann U67. So see that thing next to it, the power supply with the red light? There's a tube in there. So it's a really well-powered microphone. It gives it a warmness, like Sachi said, like a vintage quality, but it's still, because it's a condenser, captures a lot of good lows, a lot of good highs. These U67s were on a bunch of famous vocals from the 60s and 70s. They're also used for strings, like orchestral arrangements. They're just really lush. So some of the most expensive recordings in the world are come with these. That mic, if you get a vintage one of them, it's like $20,000. They're very, very expensive. Yeah.
They sound amazing, but
they're very expensive.
Yeah, Martina, what's that?
There are two microphones that are cheaper, but they're generally.
What's the box next to the mic? Because we couldn't
Sorry,
hear.
Wasn't important. You can go.
Okay, yeah, Martina, what's up?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear what's the gray box next to the mic.
The gray box, this is the tube. This is this external power source. So you plug this into the wall with like a normal power supply. So instead of sending 48V phantom power into your microphone, this is what's powering up your microphone.
Okay, isn't this mic one of the most expensive ones?
They can be, yes. Like some of the most expensive mics in the world are tube microphones. And then the last type of microphone is a ribbon microphone, which, like I said before, that you need phantom power to start up your condenser microphone, and that it will not hurt your dynamic microphone. These will break your ribbon microphones. So let me get a ribbon mic going. So these are different types of ribbon microphones. The most used for guitars, like electric guitars, are gonna be this one. It's called a Warrior 121, and typically it's paired nicely with the mics that you have in front of you, a Shure SM57, which is the same as an SM58, but with a different face. It's not like a ball at the end. So a ribbon microphone is a microphone that has a metal ribbon in it, and that's why it's called a ribbon mic, because there's a little metal ribbon in there, and that's what's deciding what the air pressure is, because microphones are just air pressure. It's reading the air pressure in the room. That's what sound is, just different wavelengths.
They're very dark, so they have a specific purpose. So if you record drums into them with cymbals, it won't be harsh to the ear. If you record drums with this mic, it's piercing. So that's why they use it for electric guitars. And there's a lot of distortion when you record it through a ribbon microphone. You get this kind of lush, soft texture coming from it. And then if you pair it with the same recording with this microphone, you get the harshness and you blend them, and you can get some really exciting guitar tones. So that goes into a whole mic technique engineering thing, but these are also quite expensive. But they're very good for drums, for electric guitars, some folk horns, yeah, great for horns.
Any horn, like good orchestral horn player owns their own ribbon mic typically, because that's what they will use to record their instrument, because it gets the best sound out of it. Yes.
What does the ribbon do?
It reads the air. So inside of every microphone is a way of reading what the air pressure level is. And so within all the microphones in this room, it's a little capsule made of metal. It's a little capsule, and it's different moving parts. Where with a ribbon microphone, what's reading it is this very, very thin metal ribbon. And I can show what the inside looks like. See this thing? This little wire with ribbon? If you send phantom power through this, it will catch it on fire. So it'll break your mic instantly. Yes, I will say it will break your mic instantly just to scare you guys.
I've done it.
Yeah, it's
I have
bad.
A very expensive mic that
Yeah.
wasn't mine, so it happens.
So be really, really careful if you do ever use ribbon microphones, not to send any phantom power through it or any power at all, because it will ruin the mic. And they're super expensive because they're really hard to make. Yeah, so they're not usual.
Does phantom power affect the dynamic specifically?
No, it just won't send any sound from the mic, but it won't break it. Questions on the different, yes?
First of all, the tube mic, you said that if we don't send phantom power into it, right? Can we plug it into an Apollo? And isn't that the same thing?
A tube mic?
Yeah.
So plugging it
Sorry.
into
The tube.
an Apollo,
Yeah.
like into my interface. So an interface is just an interface. The only way it would send power to a microphone is from phantom power, so the 48V. So yes, you can send or plug in a tube microphone into an Apollo, but the same idea of the external power source is going to be from this box that you have to plug in.
I have to plug in the box at all times.
Yeah, and
Yes.
you wouldn't get a tube mic that doesn't come with its own power supply, so.
The second question is there any microphone that has all directories, like sides and surround sound?
Yeah, so there's modeling mics, which it's just one mic, and it typically uses software, and within that software, you can change it to be different types of mics and make it sound like different types of mics. So it will typically have a omnidirectional pattern to it, and then depending on what you're choosing, it can change that pattern. There's also mics that have a little switch that can switch typically from cardioid to omni to figure 8.
That is important because you might go, and they don't have to be expensive. You can get a condenser microphone that has that switch, and you're recording your vocals and they sound distant, or you're getting a lot of extra noise and you don't know why. Probably because you have it on omni, not cardioid, and that's happened a bunch. And if you get your best vocal performance and you realize you recorded it wrong, that could be something that happens.
Yeah. Other mic questions. Let me just see if there's anything in here. Okay, any mic questions? Yes.
Yes, how do I choose the best mic for myself? And would you recommend a mic for alto soprano?
Okay, so the way to choose the best mic for yourself is to sing through as many different mics as you can, sing the same song with the same intensity and the same energy. That way you can get a very clear, also with the same, hopefully, setup. So if I sang through 2 different mics through my interface, and then 1 mic through your interface, it will also get a different quality. So when you're doing a mic shootout, that's what it's called, you wanna make sure everything is the same, and you're only changing the microphone. So the best way to figure out the best mic for you is by being able to sing through different mics. I don't really know what the accessibility to music studios are in Egypt, but like that's the only way
Is
to
there?
kind of have.
Yep. Okay, so you guys do have access to studios where you can go and try out, like, you know, depending on the studio, if you're in there for a day, they might have a mic selection. You can, it's very expensive, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so if you find yourself, this is something I do often, because early in your career, you're not gonna have access to those studios. And I remember the first time I got into one, I blocked off a period of time to do a mic shootout for the vocalists I was with, because you're there, you might as well do it. So we tested exactly what Sachi was saying, same interface, everything, 4 different microphones. We found the right microphone for that vocalist. For the rest of their career, they know that's their mic. So if you find yourself in a situation where you are in a studio, take the opportunity, do a mic shootout for yourself. Just be like, stay with me an extra hour and use that. Because then you'll know, you can test it, you can hear it, it's ear training. It's like anything, if you're figuring out how to get the right pitch and tell intervals, it's the same thing, it's subtle, but you'll know what makes you feel best with your vocal. So jump on that and do it when you can.
Also on top of that, I kind of talked about brands yesterday, but brands like to have the same or similar patterns of frequency throughout their microphone line. So if you know that you like Shure, or if you know you don't like Shure microphones on your vocals, it's kind of a good bet even if you have an array that you're not gonna like a Shure microphone. Doesn't mean you shouldn't try it, but if it has to be quick, then I wouldn't automatically go with something you don't like. For my voice, I know that my voice sounds great on Neumann's. So if I had the choice between a Neumann, a Telefunken, and a AKG, and I couldn't do a shootout, I know that my vocal will sound best on Neumann's typically because of their just the branding of what they do and how it's similar throughout different microphones. What was your second question?
What do you recommend for a soprano voice?
Yeah, I really can't answer that because it is one, your preference to like what you like, 2, what kind of music you sing, 3, the way that you sing. Yeah, so even though there's different mics, I can't really say like what is the best for an alto soprano because there's so many different alto sopranos because that's just like a range. It's not necessarily a type of singing. I'll say like AKGs are brighter. Neumanns I think are a bit more balanced that have like nice high end, and Shures are typically gonna be not dull, but they won't be super bright on the highs. Yes.
It's not something you can just like edit this logic, just like forget the sound of that mic that you don't have.
Yeah, you can totally do that. It's gonna take forever to figure out how that sound is different from what you currently have. And yeah, there's like whole modeling systems and scientists and engineers that they make softwares that do that specifically. But my thing is like get the best recording that you can without changing any of the plugins and hoping to do that in post. Post means after you record it.
I can't just regular mic, just add like some sort of plugin to YouTube mic.
I mean, it can have an emulation, but it's not gonna be the same.
Yeah, you can play around with it, and if you like it, you like it. At the end of the day, it's just about taste. So some people might have a $10,000 tube mic, and then they record on an $80 mic, put an emulator on it, and they prefer it. And some of the best mixers in the world do that because they're looking for a sound. So at the end of the day, all of this knowledge is important to learn, and then the trick is forgetting it and just doing whatever you like. That is going to be a theme throughout all of this course. It's like it's like music theory. You have to ingest it and learn it. You have to know it. But then when you're writing, you do not want to be thinking about music theory, or else it's going to come out stale.
Yeah.
So it's the same with this. It's really just up to your taste and what you want to make.
Yeah, having an opinion is like the biggest thing in this industry because people will tell you how they want you to sound, how they want you to do anything, even if that's not what you want to do. Having your own opinion and knowing what your taste is in your own sound and the way that you like to write is a really important thing, and that's what you sell.
Yeah, sorry, that just reminded me of a conversation we had yesterday. I know some of you have been in the room with producers that are very pushy and say, hey, this is it, this is it. They might be telling you, no, this is the best mic, and you like something else, and might put you down and say, oh, that's a cheap mic. Just be like, no, that's what I want. But that is, a lot of producers get super protective over their gear because they invest money in it and they have their taste, but that doesn't mean that's your taste. So just because something's expensive doesn't mean that it's better. Yeah, and that is really the rule in music, especially in modern music. So
Yeah.
don't be afraid to be like, no, I don't care. Yeah. Choose what you want.
Yeah, just because something's expensive doesn't make it better. Whenever I do a mic shootout, I always do it blind. Like I will not tell my artist what is what mic. I'll be like, this is mic A, B, and C. We'll listen to all three. I'll like change them as the song goes through. And sometimes they like this one, which is like $300, and I also had them track on a $3,000 mic. So taste also shouldn't be dictated with how much money that piece of equipment is. Yeah, other questions on mics before we move on?
Let's record.
Yeah, let's start tracking. So let's first get sound going. Let me also move you guys out of the way, make you quiet. Okay. Oh, one other thing I wanted to talk about. So the difference between, or one of the differences between a dynamic and a condenser mic is the amount of gain that it is needed to get a sound source to sound good or sound loud enough. There's something called a inline preamplifier. So this is the Triton inline preamplifier. The typical one that people use is called a cloud lifter, which is like this blue box. And so you plug this into your mic and then use an XLR to put it to your interface. This gives an additional 25 dB. So essentially you already have way more power from this little thing. You do need to turn on phantom power to make this work, but this just makes dynamic mics sound better, in my opinion. Most people's opinions. Yeah.
Are we going to record with all this noise?
Are you gonna record with noise?
With all this noise?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna give it character.
Yeah. Okay, so everyone's mic is plugged in. Plug in your mic. It should click into your microphone. It won't click into the interface. All right, so on your interface, can someone just flip it around so I can see the face of it real quick? Okay, cool. So you guys have 3 knobs. The first 2 knobs are how much power, how much gain am I giving my microphone? The big knob all the way to the right is your headphones. So we don't need to think about the headphones right now. We're just gonna be using the first knob because that's for the first channel, channel 1, input 1. Making sure that phantom power is off. Also someone is gonna have to start talking into the mic. Make sure you get it pretty close. A good rule of thumb is I like to have my mouth really close to the pop filter without my lips touching it, and then 2 inches from the pop filter to the microphone. You could do that, but that's like I would do that more for a condenser mic, because condenser mics are more sensitive. These you need to get closer to like get the same effect. So is everyone prepped and ready to make noise into the mic? I'll tell you how to turn things up. Great. If someone is having the microphone in their hand and able to start talking, and I would say talk at like a good level, don't whisper into it. on the interface, start turning it up until you start seeing a green flash happening. Check. You should start turning the most left knob. So you're not hearing anything, but you're seeing a green light. Even if you turn it all the way, turn that all the way.
Yeah, turn it all the way.
And yeah, so I see right now as I'm speaking that it's picking up into the microphone.
Anyone who's having trouble, raise your hand and I'll come around.
I can also come around.
Up to your Alex. You'll hear us.
Cool. So you're gonna start talking into the mic. And you don't really hear anything right now, but we're gonna turn this. Keep talking. No, we're not looking at anything there. We're just looking. Keep talking. Let's keep focus on talking. Yep. So this means that we're getting a signal. So anytime you hear your voice, it's anyone else can help? So you don't need, no one has to look at logic to do this step that I'm currently talking about. I just want you to look at your interface. So keep talking. Talk louder. Like speak like you're talking. Yeah. So now you're seeing signal. That's all we need to do right now. Not yet. Anyone else need help? Anyone need help? You guys good? You guys good? Alright. So now that we have signal going into the interface, no one should be seeing anything in Logic. We haven't set that up yet. If you are, that's fine. But then we want to make sure in the Logic. Check. Alright. So everyone go to track, new audio track. So you have to have an audio track there. Making sure over here in the inspector region, if this is not open, click on the eye, the inspector window, all the way to the left. If this is not open, click on the eye on the top left. Now that that's open, we can see R, I, M, and S. R means record enable. So if we want to record something, we have to make sure it's record enabled. I means input monitoring, meaning that we're monitoring what the input is, or hearing what we're singing into the microphone. M, we're muting that track. S, we're soloing that track. So everyone click on the I, and you should be seeing your level into, or seeing your vocal into Logic. I, like what's the stand for? Input monitoring. Should you do what? Don't use direct monitoring. I mean you can, but right now I'm teaching this way. Every interface has like different methods, but not every interface has direct monitoring. Yeah. Is everyone seeing signal in Logic? Raise your hand if you're not seeing signal in Logic. Everyone's seeing signal in Logic? All right. So now we're doing a step called hello check check. I wonder if that's coming through. So now we're actually gonna do our gain staging. Yeah. No. So the interface, all of your interfaces say direct monitor. Don't click on that. It's gonna be doing the same thing, but not even every interface has direct monitoring on its interface. So I want to teach you guys how to do it in Logic. Yes.
I just want to take a second to make sure everyone is getting sound in and they can see it, and then is also hearing it in their headphones. You're not. What's it? Maybe can we all go around and just make sure they have it over?
Let me check on you guys. Is everyone on Logic Live right now? Or on Zoom? Good? Cool. You guys good? This is pretty, so it's really loud. Because, yeah. So I only really want to have sound when you're speaking. So while you're see? Where before, even when you're not speaking, there's sound. Or screen. Right here, this is too much. The reason, and I'll show you guys how you can tell too much in Logic. I'll show you in Logic, yeah. So it's all within here, you can't tell on here. Are you guys good? Cool. Here's sound, and you can hear it. You're good? Good? Yes. Yes. Okay. Oh, it's because. Yeah, why? Okay. So what happened here was you guys had direct monitor on. We don't want that because then one it's all way. We don't want to do that. We want to combine here, input monitoring, and now if you listen, it's clear. And it's other questions? Cool.
I think we need to go through the interface controls one more time.
Sure.
Just like the gain for the mic and then the monitor for the headphones.
Yeah. And I'm gonna just borrow. If you guys can all look up here.
All right, let's take a second. We're gonna go through the interface controls one more time, and then we'll double check, make sure everyone has their sound, and then we'll move on forward.
Okay. So on this interface specifically, and all interfaces are different. They have the same parts to it, but they're all gonna be looking different, calling things by different names. So on the very left is your first input. Input one, this interface only has one input. So this can take an XLR cable, which is a microphone cable. Oh, I can only do the XLR cable. Cool. Okay, cool. So any microphone will go to input one. Right next to that, it says 3V. That's our phantom power. So if we had a condenser mic, we would click that. Oh, it's not plugged in. We would click it, it will turn red, and you know it's on. Next to that, it's called air. This is like its own Focusrite system. What this does is if you have a vocal, it will compress it slightly and give some high end. I don't really like turning it on because I don't want my interface to be doing the job that I want to do later on. So I don't want to print that onto my track. But that's what air does. It gives us a little bit more high end and compresses ever so slightly. So this knob here, the first knob on the left, is your gain. So how much power, how much signal am I sending to my first input? The one next to it is for the second input. So you see this little hole next to air? That's where you would plug in your electric guitar, your piano DI, any instrument cable would go into here. And then you would press the instrument button to give high Z. High Z means If you have an electric guitar that doesn't take a battery, then you would press the instrument button and it gives it a little bit more power.
Something, sorry to interrupt, something to note, one of you had instrument clicked and wasn't getting mic sound. So if the instrument button is clicked in and it's lit up red, your mic, it'll bypass mic one input. So you have to check those things. It could screw it up, yeah. It should be, yeah. Yeah. So if it's lit up instrument, if you put click instrument, it's lit up, then your mic will stop working. So someone was trying, the mic wasn't working and the instrument was on.
Okay.
Is it? Oh, okay, maybe that's different then. Some of them do bypass that. It is important to note. Some of them, they trigger the mic to turn off or the instrument to turn on. Maybe in this one it's not the case, but still you want to have that on. Yeah.
And then the second knob is going to be the gain for channel 2, because there's 2 channels on this interface, but that second knob, that's what that's for. And then this big knob is what you're hearing. So this is going to be what you're controlling for your headphones, and also if you're sending out to speakers through the back, that's also the same control there. Then we have direct monitor. Don't have direct monitor on because this will turn on basically input monitoring inside of Logic. You can do the same thing in this interface, but I don't want you guys to do it in here. I would rather you guys do it in Logic for a multitude of reasons. One, you can hear any plugins, so if you want to put reverb on your vocal, if you do direct monitor, you can't hear that reverb because you're not actually hearing your vocal through the session. So don't turn it on in this instance. If you like doing that, totally do that, but in this class, don't do it right now. And then on the back, we have left and right. So this is for monitor speakers if we're sending out to speakers. And then the thing we're plugged into, USB going out to your computer. You know what, I literally don't know. It's on a lot of gear. I think Alex might know.
No clue.
Yeah, I have no idea what it is. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, sorry.
So, does everyone have their mic coming into the Logic? You can see the signal, and then you can also hear it in your headphones. Good? We're all there. Great. Cool.
Great. So now that we have signal going into Logic, we want to decide how much are we actually sending to Logic. It doesn't matter what we're hearing, whether it's loud enough in our ears or not. We want to make sure that the level in Logic is reading at the correct volume. So if this region is not open, called the inspector window, click this I button on the top left to open and close that up.
So everyone go to the top left, click that I if you're not seeing what's on Sachi's screen, because this window is really important.
Yes. You guys can try turning it on your dynamics right now. You will not get any sound. Okay. Yeah, you can do that right now and like experiment and try all that. Okay, cool. We're in the inspector window. Here we're seeing.
Sachi?
Oh, sorry. Let me make sure that we are. Yes, Anna.
We're having a little bit of a hard time hearing you. It's sounding farther away.
You're having trouble hearing me when I'm farther away?
Oh, now I hear you.
Now you hear me fine.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just sit closer then. So in this inspector window, we want to make sure that our input is actually working, because if I'm not seeing anything, but I can see their signal in my interface, I know that I'm connected to Logic using my interface because of the audio preferences. Here it says input. If we click on that, go to input, choose the input that yours is on. So all of yours is going to be on input 1 right now. I'm going to choose that. Also, you want to make sure that it's only one circle. If you click on it, there's 2 circles connected. You don't want to do that. Just make sure it's one circle. Now that we are in the right input and we're having the channel open. Yes. The difference between the 1 circle and the 2 circle is the 1 circle only has 1 input for this track. This whole thing is called a track. When I click on it and I have 2 circles, that means we have 2 inputs for plugged in, which we do not have. So this is going to have inputs 1 and 2 from your audio interface going into the same track. So if we did this, having the 2 circles, but we only had 1 microphone plugged in, we would only have sound from the left side. Make sense? So we don't want that. Typically, you don't want that.
Okay, hate to interrupt, but this the sound is coming in and out from Zoom.
Hold on, Hannah, one more. Yes.
The sound is coming in and out on Zoom. I don't know if it's a setting or if the mic's not plugged in.
Hold on, the sound is. Oh, this? Oh, Hannah, I know why. Is this better?
Yeah, very clear now.
This is better. Okay,
Oh wait, is this better?
That's best.
That's best. Cool. I understand why. I know why. Thank you.
Yes.
So the reason why, let me explain why it's important what happened just now for anyone that cares to be a techie. So I'm sending sound from Logic into Zoom, and the reason, as we can see, I'm talking into this mic, it's showing up into Zoom. Record input is on, so what I'm saying in this mic is also being sent directly to Zoom. So it was just like feeding back.
Wow, this sounds great. Whatever you just did is like
Keep doing that. Okay, heard Hannah. Okay, so we can see now that I have sound going into Logic from this microphone. See this number here? It says -9 right now. This is just telling me what is the loudest level that I've heard from the time I last clicked on it to now. So I want to click on it again just to get a more accurate reading. It is at -9. This is too loud. I want to make sure that my level of the loudest part that I'll sing is about -14 to -12. That way we have enough something called headroom. And headroom is where if there's something really loud accidentally, whether that's a belting in the song or something happens, you don't get any distortion. Distortion is when it clips and that it's too loud and there's this destructive noise in the audio that you cannot get rid of. So I want to make sure that my level is setting between -14 and -12. So I'm going to turn it down on my interface, on the gain, not the headphone jack, not the headphone knob, but the gain knob. Yes. -14 is lower than -12. On Logic, we read up to 0. So if it's at 0, that's the loudest. It can go above 0, but that's clipping. Yeah. So let me turn down on my interface. About here, I'm going to reset. La 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 la. Great. So the loudest that I'm hitting is around -12. That's perfect for the level that I want to be hitting. How do you set? So you.
How do you set the max?
So you don't clip. You don't want to be anywhere close to clipping. Oh, how do you keep it in the range? You just sing at like whatever level you're going to be singing at. It's typically going to be turning down your interface. So you want to turn down the interface gain knob. And then click this button so you reset it and you can get a clean reading. This button up here, where it says -17, if you click on that, you'll get a clean read. Here, I'll click on it right now. And then when I get loud, it'll just pick up the loudest, and it'll tell me the loudest I've been. Yes. So everyone, are you getting a good level between -14 and -12?
I have a question.
I'll be right with you. be right
Take
with
your
you.
time.
Yes. I don't know who said the question thing.
Martina.
Yes,
Yes, I am listening, but I'm going to mute myself so I can listen.
Martina or Jean, you want to ask your questions?
Oh, give me 1 sec. I'm going to turn you guys up because I can't hear you.
All right, try it.
Try it now.
Okay, so I had two questions. The first one, is it possible to control the gain even though I have a mic, the 80-20-20, the USB version?
Hold on,
I'm so sorry. I couldn't hear you.
Can
Can
I
I
just
just
have
have
a
a little bit of silence for 2
Everyone
seconds?
quiet for a second. We're gonna take a Zoom question.
Sorry, Martina. Can you say that again?
Oh my God, the attention. So I was asking if I have the condenser mic, but the USB one. So how can we control the gain from the knobs on the left on the screen?
So
That's why I don't use USB microphones.
You
You can't have, most of the time, you can't control the gain. I don't know what your mic is specifically, but there might be a gain knob, or it's connected to software and it would be the same thing as a real interface. But in whatever software you're using, so I think you're in FL right now or Logic,
Yeah.
you would then, yeah, I can't really answer that because I don't know what USB mic you do have, and it's really hard to give advice because they're all a little bit different.
Okay, it's the 80-20-20,
Unfortunately.
but it's fine. Another question, do the plugins for emulation of mics, do they actually work like the Antares one that emulates other mics?
They
They
sound
do
really
sound really
good.
good.
I'll
I'll
say,
say,
as
as
someone
someone
that's
that's worked with a lot of different
professional
professional
mics,
mics, they're not the same.
But
But if you've never worked with like high-end mics for a long time and you got to know them, then you really couldn't tell the difference. And they do sound pretty good, but they're not perfect.
Okay, thank you.
And Remen Kimi, can you say your name just so I know how to say it?
Sure, sorry, it's actually my artist name, so that's why. But Rimin Kimi is how it's pronounced. Thank you. So I have two questions as well. The first one is I have a little like home studio set up. And I'm noticing that when I put the gain up to 12 to 14, it actually picks up a lot of like surrounding noise that I don't want to, versus when it's a bit lower and then while I process the vocals and I just bring them up. Is it a bad practice, and do I need to maybe figure out an extra pop filter or something different, or?
Okay, so unfortunately, I think I can, so I'm gonna say it back to you because the speakers like are cutting out of your vocal. So from what I heard, you have a mic that is picking up room noise, and you don't want that noise in your microphone, but you have a pop filter. So a couple of things you can do is this has nothing to do with the room noise, but I like to have two pop filters on my vocals. So I have one mesh pop filter, and then in front of that, I have one metal pop filter. And it's because I'm a nerd, but one of the pop filters cuts the sibilant sounds a little bit more, and then the other one cuts the plosives a little bit more. So I like to have two different pop filters for my best vocal sounds. There's also things called vocal shields that look like this. I mean, this would make you have a home studio in a way. So this will cover the back of your vocal, and this is cutting out any reflection. And reflections are noises. If I'm speaking right now, and there's a wall behind me, as I'm speaking, my voice is going to be reflected off of that wall and picked up on the back of the microphone. So if you have this vocal shield or any vocal shield, it will absorb most of those reflections, so there is no reflection coming from the back of the mic. Also, if there's other sounds behind the mic, like if you have it facing towards an air conditioner or to your refrigerator, you can cut those sounds a little bit more. Also, since we talked about cardioid mics, it means the front is most sensitive and it rejects anything on the back. If there's something really loud in your room, put that rejection point pointing to whatever that loud thing is. So if it's your computer, make sure your mic is pointed away from your computer. Another other one that I like to have is called an eyeball. So these are like vocal shields, but you put the microphone inside of it, and so there's more coverage around the mic that there's just less room noise. If you guys are running into the trouble that you're like hearing your own reverberation in the room, so you can hear what the room sounds like, but you're not putting a plug-in on, that's not good. You want to have your vocal as dry as possible, or any signal as dry as possible. So I like to record, my vocal booth in my apartment is in my closet because all of those clothes just soak up all of those sounds. So I record anything in my closet from all of those clothes hanging there. If you don't have a big closet, you can just like stack up pillows and make a fort, or like if you're crazy, take your mattress and stand it up and like sing in front of your mattress. Hang really heavy blankets. Just cover anything that's flat and looks like if you yelled at it, it would kind of yell back at you. So just covering any of those stuff. I see you have acoustic foam in the back. That's great. It doesn't pick up much, but it's definitely better than having a bare wall.
I have a friend who's sorry, you want me to, when I'm recording, to like record under a blanket.
Yeah. So if you are okay with this, and this might be hard, but like if you can set up your set up your mattress and like set up some pillows so that there's like a cave kind of going on, and then you put a blanket over it. If you talk in there, or even if you like go home tonight and just like talk under a blanket, your voice is really dry because it's not reverberating off of anything. It's very stripped down. So if you track under a blanket, same idea. The heavier the blanket, the better, as long as it's not getting like in the way of your performance. So does that answer your question? Room noise. So it's all about like the sound source. There are plugins though that help get rid of that room noise, like Isotope RX, which is expensive, but if you really can't avoid getting the room out of your vocal or out of your microphone, plugins are going to be your next best bet. Yes. No, so Sound ID is just for headphones. Like Sound ID is just affecting what you're hearing back. It doesn't affect anything with your actual microphone.
Oh, go ahead. All right.
What's the ideal voice isolating thing, item that is not expensive and you want this?
Noise cancel. Oh, like what I just talked about.
If I can't do it with a blanket or
Mm-hmm.
and I want to produce an item that does
Yeah.
noise canceling, but it's not like this or.
So I don't know that many, to be honest. I really only use RX. It's expensive, like depending on how you think of it, but you're gonna use it on a lot of things, especially if your room sucks. If it's that bad, you're gonna use it on every recording you have, and you can just buy, if you want to, one piece of RX that is just for de-reverb, like getting rid of the reverb. So yeah, Alex might have other suggestions.
It's best to do things before they enter.
Yes.
Always. Rule of thumb is gonna, like, you want your record sounding as good as possible without plugins. So whatever you can to alter your environment is the most important thing. So it is worth taking the time to get something like this, or set up blankets or mattresses or anything if it's somewhere you're gonna be recording consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Like the sound, doing sound discrimination,
Yeah. In this case, if you're going to be recording vocals a lot in your room or wherever you are, slowly taking the time to just dampen the room. Yeah. It just depends what your vocal sounds like. So just listening back to your vocal after recording by itself. And see if you like it. Yeah, some people like the crazy reverb, and sometimes you have it on purpose. Um, just if you're listening back to your record and you don't like it, you think it sounds messy or thin, which can happen when there's feedback and cancels out the waveforms and it's a sound thin, you don't get good body, then you want to start adjusting. But don't adjust before you before you have an opinion. That is going back to that theme, like form your opinion first, whether you like it or not, and then adjust. Don't just start adjusting.
Yeah, there's some people that can get that dry effect by treating their room, but they still want the option to have a room noise without the plugin. So they'll like set up a mic for the vocalist and then set another mic up 4 feet away that is a hot signal, so the gain is really loud. So there's the option of having the reverb from the room in the track if they wanted it. So just having your options open is better than having to stick with what you have and like being unhappy with it. But always treat at the sound source before deciding what plugin to use later. You had a question. Yes. Sorry, I don't know your name. You raised your hand before. Oh, okay, cool. Yes, Alex.
One from talk a little bit about pop filters.
Yeah, filters. I talked slightly about it. They're what's in front of you. I don't need to pull up a picture. What was I about to do? I can pull it up for you guys. So there's 2 different types of pop filters. There's a mesh pop filter, which is what's in front of you. And it's these. It's made of, what is this made of? Cotton? Mesh? Whatever mesh is. That's what these are. So pop filters just get rid of any pops. So if I'm saying a P or a B, there's that pop of air behind my breath. And so if you say it directly into your mic, the capsule is going to read that as a high air pressure signal. As we were talking about before, mics just pick up air pressure levels. So those really high level bursts of air while you're saying those letters will create this popping sound in your mic. So pop filters get rid of that. So we have these mesh ones, and we also have metal ones that look like this. Same idea, but instead it's just metal redirecting the air to a different direction. If you don't have a pop filter at home, you can make one with like stockings or pantyhose over a hanger. So just do that and then hold it in front of you. If you really don't have that, take a pencil or a pen and hold it right in front of you. Say this is a pencil. This is a pencil. So hold it like this. So what it's doing now is it's cutting my breath in, like it's splitting my breath so that it's not hitting the microphone directly on. So if you don't have a pop filter in a pinch. So that's a windscreen. So if you're like outside and there's a lot of wind, it's the same idea, but it's not as effective in my opinion because it's right on the microphone. And so that there's gonna be, it's not like cutting all air from getting through on the other side, these mesh pop filters. But if you set it up so that it's right by your mouth, and then there's 2 to 6 inches from the pop filter to the microphone, there's that gap of air for the air to disperse even more. But because a windscreen is right on the microphone, there is no place for it to disperse. So it's not really, it's gonna get rid of some popping, but not everything. Yes. The monitor size for speakers? Yes. Whatever you like. I don't know. Like if you have a small room, I wouldn't go with something bigger than 5 inches because 5 inches can produce great sound anyways. If you want something with good low end, I would say look for 10 inches, which are pretty big. but that's going to give you the most low end without having a subwoofer. And a subwoofer gives me all my low end in one speaker, and it's on the floor. Okay, getting sound. What were other things? Alex, I'm sorry. I forget what I was talking about before. The pop filter. Yeah. That's it? Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was sidetracked with gear. Great, so if we're all getting sound from -14 to -12, I just want everyone in this room to record something, making sure you're hearing something in your headphones. Now, if you don't hear your vocals loud enough in your headphones, that doesn't mean turn up your gain. That means turn up your headphone jack, or it's the headphone knob. If that still is not loud enough, in the moment, just turn up your stereo out or this big knob up here. But then always set it back to 0. All right, track on. Yes, Alex.
I don't think anyone has this yet. Vocals. I was going to talk about the relationship between the software and the vocal. Sometimes that can get confusing, but maybe we come to that after.
Gonna do that next. Yeah. So everyone on Zoom as well, just track some stuff. And we'll take a break after you guys do that. We'll walk around, raise your hand if you have questions. check, check. Hey, Zoom people. Are there any questions from you guys?
Hello, hello. How are you, Martina, Leon, John?
Oh, hold on. I cannot hear you, Hannah. Or I can't hear anyone. For a sec. Why is this? All right. Try it now. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
John, Leon, Martina, anything you want to ask Sachi?
I know we may be doing that in the break, but I tried to do the. Anna, can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Hey. So, oh, no. Yes. Awesome. I know we may be doing this in the break. I'm not sure if this is the break, but yesterday I was trying to do my first little beat, and when I put either a vocal chop or one of those like Apple Loop instruments and tried to like mediate, it just like did the weirdest thing. So I was wondering if you could maybe show the plus.
Yeah. Can you hear me when I talk like this? Oh, wait. Can you hear me when I talk like this? You can still hear. Okay. Actually think this might be the best way. And there's latency. The thing I didn't want. Check, check, check. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab like a sample from Splice. I can't hear myself speak because then there's latency in my ears. But I'm gonna grab some vocal.
I just wanna freak it nasty.
She sounds like Britney Spears.
I just wanna freak it.
The heck? Sorry, hold on. I think there's a Wi-Fi thing going on. It's not loading.
So call my name.
You don't want this. From where I'm from, then it changed state.
Took the high road when I let go. I was scared to fall, but I took it slow. Now I'm flying, cloud 9.
Great. So I'm popping that into Logic. Gonna convert the file because the file is at 44.1, unfortunately. So I want to convert the file, not the project, because I want to keep my project in 48K. So now I have that it's there. So what I'm gonna do is right click, convert to new sampler track, transient markers, sampler. Gonna click OK. So now it created an entire, what's it called? Like MIDI of what that was. So if I click on this and I press play.
Took the high road when I let go. I was scared.
Cool, so it's playing exactly what it was. It sounds weird, but that's because they're notes now. If I went into sampler, I can actually see what's going on if I go into zone And so each of these notes is going to be a different part of this. So that's what it is. So if I clicked musical typing, so now I can like play it in time to whatever it is. Make sense? So that's one way you can do it. Another way you can do it that I would like to do. Give me 1 second. Yeah, what's up? Perfect. I'll talk about it. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. So another thing is you can click, or if it's an external source, drag it. Quick sampler. I like to do optimized. And now this is what the quick sampler in Logic looks like. So same thing, it's just cutting up my sample, my vocal in this case, into different playable parts. And now that we're in Slice, we can change the sensitivity because the mode is by transient. Transients are every time there's a spike in the waveform, that's a transient. So there's bigger transients than others. So if we make it less sensitivity, we're just getting the really big transients. But if we make it higher sensitivity, then we're picking up even the little stuff. We can change it to beats as well, or just manually. I like to have it at transient because then it's like kind of playable, more playable. So if I do this, same idea, Command K, open musical typing. I'll play it a little bit. So it's all cut up and now I can play it as I want. One thing that we can or a couple of things that we can change is, where is it? I need to make this smaller so I can see it fully. Okay, there we go. We can change like the rate. We can change as we press the key. Oh, the power went out. You can still hear me though. As we press the key, how long does it take for the note to actually open up? That's called an ADSR down here. Yeah, so different stuff like that. Oh my god, I look crazy. That was the first time I just looked at myself. Yeah, any questions?
I have a question. Oh, Raymond Kimi wanted to say something, so I'm gonna let you.
No, Martina, just how you got that window. Like I that's the step I mean, like the blue window.
Yeah, so if you go into the track that it made, clicking over here.
Got it. That's great.
So this
Thank
is
you
what
so
your
much.
instrument is. Yeah, the instrument is the sampler. There's different instruments. In this case, it's a sampler because you took a sample and put it in. Martina?
So I accidentally removed the part from the track. So is it like Ableton when you click on the end of the track and pull it to the right, it gives you the rest of the track? I can't find I deleted a part and I want it back. So do you know how can we recover it?
Yeah, so you can either click and drag out, so that should be fine, or Command Z, because that'll undo.
But I undid a lot of things, so I couldn't find it. So it's like Ableton, if we drag it to the right, it reappears, right? The rest of the track? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, it should be the same unless you undid the recording. If you undo the recording, then it's gone and you have to re-record, or Shift Command Z and it brings it back. But if you did something after getting rid of it, it's gone.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna talk to the class again, including you guys.
You mentioned talking and then go on break.
Okay, check. No, I did. Oh, okay. Could you do me a favor and turn that cool. So everyone's getting sound. How's it going? Bueno? Yes? So let's get into comping, because you guys probably accidentally ran into that. So let me show on the screen. There it is. I'm going to hide you guys again. Love you, Zoom people, but gotta say goodbye for a quick sec. So let me just record something into this. Or actually, does someone want to sing?
Take it away, Sachi.
No, not me. Does someone want to sing? You're all artists. Look, there's a microphone, free and ready. We sung. Come. Yep. You're just gonna sing anything. So let's act like I'm the producer right now, and this is my artist, and I first want to get a good level. So talk. Mm-hmm. Great. Amazing. Alright. I'm not getting any sound. I'm not getting sound. Oh, I know why. Because my Zoom. Okay, so we hear that there's a click going on.
Okay.
So can you, actually no, not you, but we don't need a click. So I'm just gonna hit record. Once you see the red start to happen, just sing.
Okay.
Alright, so everyone,
Quiet on set.
recording in process.
Ah.
Yeah.
Ah.
Cool. Don't clap. Because it'll be faster. Do the same thing that you just did.
Okay.
Alright, let's do 2 more. And 1 more. Alright, now I can clap. Alright, thank you. Yeah, you can have a seat. So we have what's called a comp going. A comp means composite take, and all of these takes are in the same track because we recorded over the same track. If you record over the same track, it just makes a composite take, so there's different takes in here. So we can open and close this, and it's called a take folder. If you accidentally did this and you actually wanted it to be 2 different tracks and you don't want to record a new one, you can right click, folder, unpack take folder to new tracks, and now we have them split out. And that's if you accidentally did this. But typically you do this on purpose. And so if we did this on purpose, it would be because, 1 second, it would be because we are doing the same chorus over and over and over again, and we want to take the best of all of the different takes. So I would click, highlight, and now it's a composite take, or a comp, of the best of each take. Yeah, Frankenstein it up. No one's perfect nowadays. Alright, questions? Repeat this. Yes. So let's say we have all of these recorded. It means we have 4 different takes, and this top one that says comp. Sorry, I should be talking to you guys as well, Zoom people. This one that says comp A is what our composite take is. And these are just different versions that we can pull from. So if we click, drag, click, drag, click, drag. Now up here, and let me make it different colors so you can actually tell what's going on. Different colors. Come on. Sorry. There we go. So now you can see at the top what they're pulling from. How did we get here? Yeah, we recorded on the same track. So if you record on the same track, it's just gonna create a new take. A new version is called a take. Yeah.
So if you're recording the vocal that you just recorded and then you want to do it again, hit record in the same spot, it'll record over it, so it looks like you're recording over it and deleting it, but it actually goes into this take folder and becomes a second composite take. So a use case, you're trying to get the chorus right, so you're singing the chorus again and again and again and again to get that perfect take. Then you look and you could have, like, I've done choruses with 98 takes, and because you want to get the perfect fit. Then you can go and you listen to each one, and then I'll let Sachi continue in terms of like choosing the best section. But this is something that's a really, really valuable tool for professional vocal recording, because every song you guys love, 99% of them are not one take. They were really just Frankenstein together with comping. There are some really good videos on YouTube with Ariana Grande, who's comps her own vocals. She's known for that because she sits there and she's super fast, and it is the best way to do it, which is why it's so powerful to learn how to record your own vocals. Again, if you're sitting with a producer, they're in charge of doing this, and they may not be able to work at your speed and style, so learning how to cut your own vocals is so valuable because you know exactly what you want to do, and you can do hundreds of them, and it goes a lot faster than if you're working with someone else. So this is something to definitely practice, and could be a good homework assignment, is like comping the section.
Yeah. Other questions? Yes.
Sorry, how did you record the lines again?
The different takes?
Yes.
I just hit record.
On it?
Yep. So if I do it right now, and I stop it, now I have a new take. All I did was record over it.
Yeah.
Other questions on comping? Yes. No, it's available on most DAWs. So Ableton just got it in Ableton 11. Ableton 12 is also way better. Now there's nerdy thing, but Ableton used to always have latency, even if you had low latency going on. But now Ableton 12, which is new and just came out, has comparable latency to Pro Tools and Logic, so you can actually use it. And then in Pro Tools, it's called playlisting.
It's not available in FL, right?
No, it's not. Yeah, I do know that for sure. Cool. Let's take a break.
Yeah, we should take a break.
Where are my Zoom people? Okay, cool. So yeah, Zoom, we're gonna take a break. Probably like 15 minutes. Cool. Hey, Hannah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to text you on WhatsApp about Wednesday and put you in contact with 3 interested teachers from Berklee. So they have questions I don't want to answer for you because I don't know
the answers, but yeah, I'll put you in contact with them. Cool. Right on. I'll do it right now.
Sachi, can you hear me? Anna? Anyone?
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Do you think we can get an opportunity where we can like share our screen for potential troubleshooting or?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, cool, awesome. Thank you.
You want to do that now? I can get Sachi. Or you want to do it later?
Yeah, that was good.
Hey, Sachi? I'll text her. I'll get her. Hi. I don't know if Jean, if sh oh, there she is.
Hello.
Oh wait, you're muted. Sachi. Hey.
Hello. You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's my mail.
Wait, what?
You saw your
That's my, yeah, my email, right?
Wait, are you looking at it right now?
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
For a
yes, I
split
was
of a
listening to your
second.
music. Yes, because you sent it to me, so I was listening. Someone wanted to share your screen.
Yeah, Jean.
Can I do that? Can I share my screen and show ask some questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so let me
Okay, cool.
stop sharing and then you can share.
Okay. Let's see.
Also, cool nails. Jean, looking really good.
Sorry?
Your nails.
Thank you. Thanks. So weird. It says Logic Pro unknown. I don't know what that means, but anyway, I'm gonna share. So that was zoomed in.
When you share, just make sure that you share sound as well. So it's like share desktop, and then bottom left it says share sound.
Doing the weirdest things on my end. I don't know why it's not allowing me.
Have you ever shared Zoom before? Yeah, you have.
I don't know why. There's like a big like error and like exclamation mark. But anyway, maybe I can just explain it because I feel like this.
Yeah, totally. Try that.
So here's what I did. I created a vocal track. I actually recorded it, but I'm assuming that also if we're doing like Apple loops, it's the same thing. And then I clicked on the right. I clicked on separate by no, not by MIDI. I get convert to new sampler track. Yeah. And then I selected transient markers and the sampler. I clicked on OK. And then when I do that, it just like if I click on, where you showed me like on the sampler on the I button and I get the blue little window. When I click Command K, it's like almost not grayed out, but like it's a bit whitish where it means like you can't click on anything. What am I doing wrong?
Wait, you said it's a bit whitish and you can't play it?
Yeah.
Tell me if this is what it looks like. Does it look like that?
No, it's like if you click on the the blue window that you showed me when you were trying to play with those little vocal chops.
This?
Yes, and then I click Command K after that. Yeah, over here, like you see how the colors are like clear? On mine, I just like graze them out for that specific track, the vocal track.
Wait, what colors are her?
All of this, like this piano window, yeah. Is that?
It's because you are on an audio track. So if I went onto an audio track, you can't play an audio. So musical typing is like MIDI. So like click on an instrument track. So track, software instrument track, it should be colorful.
Again, I don't know why. Okay, I'm gonna try to figure out my system preferences to make sure I can share my screen and because I'm pretty sure that's what I'm doing. After converting it, it just like shows me that green track, like that tells me that it's not
All right,
audio.
let me do what you did. So you had your track, right clicking, convert to
Yes.
sampler track, transient, sampler, great.
Mm-hmm.
Click, and now when I hit Command K, grayed out, but when I click on this, it's fine. So like, click on anything so that everything is unclicked, and then click on the track, like the MIDI track. Same thing.
Oh man, I'm sure I'm doing something wrong. I'm gonna see how I can change my privacy settings because I think that's what's not allowing me to share. And maybe I'll come back later if anybody else
Okay,
has
cool.
any questions. Yeah,
Cool.
thank you.
So I'm gonna jump into the class, and then yeah, we can talk when I give them more time. Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. Check, check. Hello. Check, hello. Hey guys. All right, we're gonna come back. We are coming back. Okay, so I see you guys are like kind of working right now. How's comping? Does that make sense as an idea? Vocal tracking? Any questions with any vocal tracking? We're all good. Yes. Yes. That is because you either have low latency mode on or input monitoring automatically turns on low latency mode, which means that it's not going to have the effects unless it's reverb. Then reverb should work. Is low latency mode on? Turn it off. I'll come over there and take a look. Okay, let's jump into MIDI and making an instrument track so you can actually sing along to music. Yeah, did you want to say something, Alex? Okay, cool. So let's
All right, everyone, listen up.
take a look in Logic and get MIDI going. I need to put this somewhere I don't care about. All right, so we have an audio track. That's chill there. I'm gonna create a new software instrument track. So track, software instrument track. There we go. If we open up the library, which is top left, that opens up the library and we can change it to any instrument that we want to. There's a bug in Logic, and sometimes you would only see the keyboards come up first. What you have to do is on the track, hit Command D and go to the one before it, or maybe delete it. Oh yeah, you have to delete the new one that you just made, and then now you actually get all of the instruments.
So maybe everyone should create a software instrument track.
Yeah, everyone do this with me. So I'll get rid of that. Track, software instrument track. You'll see these pianos. Say you don't want pianos. On the track that you have, hit Command D on your keyboard. Command D, and it duplicates the track. Now delete that track with the delete key. And now it should pop up with all of the instruments.
So this is a bug. It's just a weird thing that happens in Logic. So it's a workaround. So you can actually find the instruments instead of just seeing a list of keyboards. And I remember this happened to someone yesterday and I couldn't figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, it's really annoying.
yeah.
Yes. So create new software instrument track, software instrument track. You only have pianos, Command D as in dog, to duplicate the track. So Command D as in duplicate. Delete key, and now it should pop up with the normal instruments. Should be fine now. Delete the track, so the one you had just created. So is this window open? You have to open this window, because that's really the only reason why we would do this, to change the sound. So open this window, top left. Anyone else questions about this? Cool. So now we can change the track to whatever we want to. Command K for musical typing. Cool. That's really quiet for some reason. I'll turn that up there. Say I want a bass though. I don't like any of those basses. Neither will you, I'm telling you now. So go to synthesizer, and these are the good basses here, because they're electronic synthesizer basses. So you can choose any of these. And yeah, just go for it. So in a simple term, or in like what should I have in my production, you should have some kind of percussion, whether that's a drum kit, snaps, and a stomp, just something giving me groove. You should have something covering your low end. Typically, it's going to be your bass. 808s are going to be a word that's tossed around willy-nilly. An 808 is another way of saying a sub bass, even though a real 808 is definitely a sub bass, but it's a very specific sub bass. But get a bass in there to cover your low end. Some harmonic instrument, so guitar, piano, keys, anything that gives me the chords, and then your melody, so your vocal. So that's like the bare bones should be in a production to make it feel complete, as in at least for a demo. You can keep adding things in, but for a solid demo, having those elements will be kind of essential, especially if you do decide to not work on the song and you want to work with someone else with it. At least you know what you want and you can show them what you've had. Kind of going back to like being an autonomous artist, specifically as a woman, it's going to be really hard to get really good productions. It's going to take you guys years, I promise. So that doesn't mean you need to be really good right now, but slowly work up. And by slowly work up means get whatever you think you can down and then call for outside help. So in that way, you're not just hiring someone to completely control your sound. Now you have a conversation happening because you know what you want. You're showing them the different pieces of your song that should be there. And now you have a co-producer. So instead of just having a producer to fully take control of your whole song and your artistry, co-production is now a gateway to help you understand what a real producer is doing and getting your sound the way that you want it, so you can one day become your own producer and not have to hire someone else. But you can't just expect one day to be like, yep, I'm producing all of my stuff. You will go crazy and just kind of give up and then just continue to hire someone outside. Where if you slowly understand that it's all about collaboration anyways in the music industry, you can't win on your own. And if you do win on your own, it's really lonely at the top. So learn how to collaborate with other people and be okay with like sharing your work, especially in the beginning, with people that can get it to 100% when you can get it to like 70%. And then maybe one day by learning what they do with your work, getting your own work to 100%. So autonomy should be the goal, but you can't expect that in like a month.
To that point, I've been making records for 15 years now, and I still require collaboration to get it to the finish line. really, really hard. So I'm getting closer and closer to fully being like, okay, this is right, this could be a hit record, whatever you want it to be, but I still am calling co-producers in. Some people are better at drums than I am. I'm really good with keys, but I'm not as good as with guitar. For mixing, I can mix to a certain point, but if I really want it to sound crisp, I'll call a mixer in to do that. So it's good to experiment and learn how to do everything so you have the language to communicate with those collaborators. Again, when you're in the room with another producer and they're saying, hey, I want you to do this, it might be right, it might not be right. But if you haven't tried it, you won't know. And you need to have the language to be able to communicate and have that autonomy over your work. So it doesn't mean that you have to do everything yourself, but you have to be able to communicate. It's the same thing we talked about with management, the what and the why. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? How do you communicate that with your collaborators? It all applies to this. So you will always be working with other producers, songwriters, mixers, mastering engineers. The best stuff is a big collaboration. You know those hit records. You look at the song credits. It's like 8 writers, 4 producers, the mixer, the mastering engineer. It takes a village to do it. But all of those people have had the experience to know how to communicate with each other and take a record to the finish line. On top of that, there's probably a really good A&R orchestrating all of that as well. So yeah, it's a long process.
Yeah. So let's get into, now that we know what the elements are, kind of where to find these different things within Logic. And I'll sit down so you can also see behind me. Let me get rid of you guys.
Oh, real quick, Sachi, I just want to point to like the end result here.
Mm-hmm.
We had mentioned at the very beginning yesterday, but we want you guys to leave with an 8 to 16 bar loop that has all of these elements: drums or percussion, the bass part, the harmonic part, the keys or guitar, or loop that you pull in, and then a vocal melody.
Yeah.
So I know some of you did that already yesterday, so we'll do another one and continue to tweak, and we'll be answering questions. But where we're leading to right now is just a more systematic way of getting you guys with some piece of music that you get to leave here with, that you can continue to work on.
Yeah, so let me lower this a little bit. So let me show you guys where to get drums, because drums are gonna be like the biggest part of like making it sound close to a record. Yeah. Can I check if I'm muted? I am muted, but they should be able to hear me. Do they not hear me? Oh, it's because I'm doing a different way. Yeah. This should be muted. Yeah. So let me get rid of that too. Drums. Quick ways of doing it. Yesterday I showed you guys drummer, track, drummer track. Great way to get some drums in there based on what your tempo is and based on your genre. Another way is Apple loops. So opening this little roller coaster loopy thing. Under instrument, you can just decide what kind of instruments you're looking for, and then it'll give you some of those things. When you're in here, you're gonna see different colors over here. If it's blue, that means it's audio. So when you drag it in, it's gonna come in as a wave file, as a waveform. And if you drag in something that's green, it's gonna come in as MIDI. What's cool about anything in Apple Loops is that it will automatically link to your tempo that you're playing to. So let's say I'm in 174. Let me get rid of these two. I'm in 174, but it says that the tempo for this beat insane. It says that it's 135, but it's playing at 174 because I set it to 174. That's really fast, so I'm not going to do that. So click, drag it in. It'll be in the same tempo as each other. And yeah, so it's gonna be really cool to find drums in Apple Loops and Drummer, or you can find just one-shot samples. I'm sure that Logic has them in here. I don't know exactly where they are, but you can find like just a kick and then just drag that kick in and make it a pattern if you want. So for tonight, I would say just find a loop that resonates with you guys, either in Drummer or in Apple Loops, and start with that, like get that beat going. And we have other things in here as well. We have,
Sachi, can you quickly show how you would chop like a snare out of that loop and put it into a new track?
yes. So, workaround again in Logic. When you drag these in, they're in as Apple loops, and so you can't do some things that you want to. So I have to hit Control B and bounce it in place. Control B as in boy. And now it gives me the same thing but on a new track. It's something within Logic. I can explain it another time. It's not that important tonight. But here, we're gonna now find where a snare would be. Cool, so I definitely heard one in here somewhere. So it's right there. The k, and I can see the waveform where it is. So what I can do, I'm gonna put you guys down for a second. Hi, oh my gosh. Move that. So I'm going to change this thing to a scissors tool. So there's a cursor and then like a plus, change it to scissors. So every time I hold down Command, my cursor turns into a scissors tool. So I'm gonna cut it at that transient, and a transient is where the peak waveform is. And then I'll cut it at the end as well. So now I just have the snare. I'll mute this, and I dragged it onto a new track. That's all I did. Yes, see up here, next to it, it should be a plus sign, kind of. Click it, change it to scissors tool. Now, anytime you hold down Command and click, it's a scissors tool. So I just clicked it and dragged it into a new track. And when I hold down Option, click and drag, then I can just duplicate anything that I want. And that works also for plugins, which we'll talk about in later classes. So now I can like just take it and Option, click, drag. Holding down Option, clicking on it and dragging it. So now I have my snare taken from that loop. Yes. MIDI.
Is it okay if I can turn this track from a wave so that I'm picking the sound that I can hear to analog, so I can pick actual snare when it splits into like all the beats that I have, and I can then pick the snare and I can. Like,
So you're asking if I can turn this Apple loop into MIDI?
Yeah, and then I pick
No.
the snare that I want.
No. So I showed drummer, and drummer is actually MIDI, but it looks like audio. This is audio and is not MIDI, so you can't turn it into MIDI. If you do, and I can show you guys that right now. Oh, I can't do it with that one. I'll do it in this take. Right click, convert to new sampler track. It's gonna look like this. So if I play it back, it'll sound the same. But what's actually happening is it's just cutting up every transient, every spike in the waveform, and putting that new spike on a different note on the entire keyboard, which is not the same as what I showed yesterday. Yeah.
So can you repeat how many split specific parts from the audio into just the snare?
How to? Yeah. So I want to listen first and find where that snare is. And it's really easy with drums to do this because you can see where those peaks are, but you also want to make sure that whatever you're cutting is only that one instrument, because sometimes it's like a kick, snare, and a hi-hat on the same hit. So I'm going to go up where the cursor is, click on the one next to it where it'll be a plus sign, change it to scissors tool, click on that, hold down the command button on your keyboard, and now it should look like half of a scissor. click, and now you're cutting. So I'll cut the beginning and I'll cut the end. And because it's also in time, I know that it's gonna be the entirety of the sample. So I'll click it and I'll drag it into a new track. So now this is just my snare track. Yes.
I have a question for the converting into a MIDI channel.
Yes.
Okay. Does it work only for drums?
No, you can convert any audio to MIDI. But it's gonna be doing what I showed you. The easiest and most successful way of doing that, say if you did want to do vocal chops, is exporting just that sample, bouncing it out, dragging it in, and I'll show you this real quick because I want to get you guys working. So I'm gonna take this sample.
Took the high road.
Actually, I'll get this one.
I just wanna freak get nasty with my girls in the front and the boys in the backseat. I just want
Slay. So we'll click, drag, put it into this area where it says drag audio files here, and I'm gonna highlight it over quick sampler optimized. Just let go on top of it. Now it makes this instrument for me where I have more control over what those MIDI notes do. So I have it set to transient, which means that every peak has its own note, but there's a sensitivity knob right next to it. So if I lower the sensitivity, it just only takes the biggest peaks, where 100% sensitivity is all of the peaks. Let's say I don't want all of those, which you probably won't want all of those. Now I can actually play like something.
boy.
Oh, there's nothing there.
See, my girls in the front and the boys in the I just boy.
Yeah, so now I can play it as an instrument. Yes, this sample was from Splice. I just dragged it in. How to get there? Yep. So I'm just gonna click and drag anything off of Splice, off of your own desktop, whatever. Click.
Can you do that with Apple Loops? Like if they get an instrument from Apple Loops and then drag it to the
So I
spot?
do not think so.
Okay.
I think you actually have to bounce it, but let me try. Oh, you can. So let's try that. So I'm dragging an Apple Loop in. Quick sampler optimized is just better in my opinion, uses less power. Same thing. Yeah, so transient, make sure it's on transient, and same thing with sensitivity now. So now you have the ability to play any of those things, but you also have to like know what those notes are. Yes.
If you would want to record what you're doing right now, like if you want to do it with your keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was asking if you want to like freestyle and play right now like you just did on your keyboard.
Yep.
But you want to record that. You don't want to do it manually.
Yep.
And so
How? So same thing with audio. Just make sure that we're clicking on the right track. So this is the MIDI track that we're using. Clicking the record button. Oh my God, I was like, that's not me. It's because there was another track going on. Yeah, so if we do the same thing. I'm literally so hectic on my session right now. The idea is you just hit record and you record anything you want. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah. So like, does it have to be like what type of like track have you opened? Is it like an audio track? Is it like a MIDI track? Like
this track specifically,
okay.
Because this is something called an instrument, there's only 2 tracks in Logic.
Okay.
Or 3 tracks, but I don't want to talk about the third. There's audio tracks and instrument tracks.
Okay.
Audio, waveforms, instrument tracks, MIDI. Even though we dragged a sample, a waveform sample into here,
Okay.
this is an instrument. And you can see over here, it says quick sampler or Q sampler.
Okay.
Whatever our instrument is, will be here.
Because then I tried to do it, I kind of like drag it to the thing where you're dragging it and it's not, nothing appearing to me.
Oh, okay. So what you have to do is click.
Okay.
Sorry. Click, drag, highlight over.
It's not letting me do that. Like when I drag it to where.
Are you dragging an audio one or a MIDI one?
Oh, is it supposed to be a MIDI one?
It should be. Actually, I think it could work with both. Yeah, it could work with both.
It's not doing it for me.
Then I can come over and see. Any other questions? Yes. Hold on. How do I know the key? The key that you're in. So if you're in Apple Loops, it says what key you're working in because they did that for you. If it's something you're making, you need to learn music theory. And the easiest way is singing on top of what you're playing and finding the root note. So if I'm playing just like a C and then a G, then I would sing over those two notes and see what works and see what doesn't work and find what do is. Or do you guys use do? Oh, solfege? Yeah, trying to find what do is. And then seeing if it's major or minor. You can't, there is a plugin called Antares Auto Key that is the only plugin that I know of that I love it, that tells you what key you're in. But if you don't know music theory, find someone that does, because you need to follow up. Cool.
Can we manipulate the keys of the?
Yes, you can. You can manipulate the key of anything in Logic, even if it's your own audio. So if we took a bass, I'll drag it in. I'm gonna close this loop thing out. Click on the track. In your inspector window, open up region, transpose. And now it transposes the whole thing. Same thing with audio. I'm gonna just bounce out what we had here and show you guys that. So this is the original. Why is it in the same key? Okay, so we have the audio. So if I click on it, drag over the transpose area. So you can transpose audio and MIDI. Yes. It's grayed out. It's because you have a comp. So you cannot, another workaround, you can't do a lot of things on a comp track. What? It's grayed out completely. Like if you click and drag, it doesn't give you any numbers.
It's because you're muted.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Cool. Yes.
There's nothing that can help me except that plugin that you mentioned.
Learning the piano. Yeah. And this is where musicality comes in. And there are definitely producers and songwriters and so many musicians that don't know music theory, which is completely fine, but you need to figure out your way of communicating, because music theory is your way of communicating. Yes. Also, let me just say, if you want to keep asking questions, totally fine. Anyone that's not asking questions, work quietly on your sessions.
Yeah, make something with drums, bass,
Yeah.
keys, or guitar, and then vocal.
Yes.
Okay, and then you can ask us questions.
Yeah.
If I have like a progression that's in my head, I know the progression, and is there a way to make the piano play that progression and just score four times?
Yes. It is. Okay, so let me get a good sound. So I'll get like a pluck. Cool. So I have a pluck there. Under the inspector window, it says MIDI effects. go to chord trigger. In the inspector window, it says MIDI effects. Are you in the inspector window? Are you on an instrument track? It should say MIDI effects underneath the EQ box. So when you're there, chord trigger. Yep. And now, if I play a key, it plays a chord. Yeah. It's not there. If you click on MIDI effects, does it say arpeggio? Okay. So give me a second. Yes. Sorry, say that again.
What you actually just did, you're pressing all the keys together, or you with one
Oh.
click you do the chord?
What I'm doing right now, this is like an effect in Logic, is I'm playing one key and it's triggering a whole chord. So, hold on. So, under inspector window, it says MIDI effects. If it doesn't say that, it means your region is open and your track is open. So you want to close these. And it says MIDI effects, go to chord trigger. So you have chords in here now. So if you play, but they're all gonna be major seventh chords, or sorry, dominant seventh chords. So what you're gonna have to do is make it learn, which is unfortunate. So you press learn, click on the trigger chord, and change out here what the output is. Yeah. Another way you can do it is write it in. So I'm gonna turn off chord trigger. Honestly, I don't use that often. But I have my track here that we're using. If I go up here and I press this scissors tool or scissors button, it opens up my piano roll. The piano roll is really important because this is where you can see what your MIDI information actually is. And I'm sure you've all seen it already by accidentally clicking on your region. So here, if I hold down Command and click, it creates a note for me. So if I know what I actually want to be played, cool, so now I can play that. Yes. Oh my goodness, sorry. let me just get everything back that I just.
Oh, you deleted it?
I deleted everything.
Yeah.
Let me just take one of these because let's hear this one. So let me cut that. Great. So I'm gonna bounce this in place to set us up for this. And I don't want this track anymore. Can you guys still hear me when this track is like this? Oh, I don't know where you are.
We can hear you, yeah.
Where are you, God? Oh, there you are. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thumbs up. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call this my Zoom track just to make sure I don't do anything to
Also
that.
to note, what Sachi is doing now is labeling. When you guys are creating tracks, it's really helpful to name them so you don't get lost. So she just called it Zoom tracks. This is Zoom track. Gonna name this vocal. And as you go, just being organized helps you be creative.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to get lost in the session.
So now I'm gonna get a beat going on.
Does someone, yeah.
How do we play after like this what is it called? Optimizing
Yeah.
the beat. So you put it, drag it. So you drag it.
How do you play it?
Yeah, how do you play?
Command. Sorry.
Sorry.
K?
Command K.
Yeah, it doesn't come up.
Okay, so it does. This is something that's been coming up. When on a keyboard there are 88 keys, and it's only showing you a section of it.
Yeah.
So you need to use Z and X to move where on the keyboard you're playing. And the samples, you kind of have to search and find out where the samples are. Is there an indicator that tells you where the samples are loaded?
Yeah. So when you go, let me just drag one in. Quick sampler. It tells you right here what your notes are.
Okay, so you can see where it says the transient, like D2 is a transient. So then you know if you go to your keyboard, we're in C1 right now.
So when I play C1,
It's
I'm
playing
actually
the one
playing.
that's titled C1.
But if I go down an octave by pressing Z, there's nothing down
There's
there.
nothing. So that's
So
what
I
keeps
can't
happening.
play
A lot of
anything.
people went through that. They're playing the MIDI keyboard, no sound is coming out. But you have to make sure to find out where the sample is loaded.
All right, let's get a beat in there. I like a good, I don't know, a two-step. Cool, so I'm just dragging that in, and I'll make it a bit slower. Drag that in. If I like that, a couple things. I can either click on the top right, click and drag it out. So now it's gonna be looped exactly the same every time it's looped out.
So as soon as you guys get a drum beat in, like pretend we're all making this record together. You get the drum beat in, you know you like it. First thing you want to do is loop it out to maybe 16 bars, something where you can get inspiration from it and it doesn't just cut out.
Yeah.
I normally do 16 bars. That's a very basic piece of time to do that. So I think all of you guys know how to do that. You hover over the right side of the clip and the little loop button comes and you drag it out.
For anyone that knows how to do that and you feel comfortable doing that, and you want to progress forward with your productions, I actually don't recommend doing this unless you're a beginner and just learning Logic. I will instead click, hold down Option, click and drag, or an easier one is Command R to repeat. The reason for this is because I can then take things out when I don't want it. say I don't want the loop here, I can delete it now. But if I looped it out and I didn't want the loop here, there, I can't get rid of it. So, sorry? It's the same thing. You can't do it. Yeah. So, I don't actually like doing that unless you're really just starting out on Logic. So, Command R for 16 bars. Next, let's get some bass in there, I guess. Synth bass. I don't want that. Oh, let's make a genre. I actually think that would be kind of cool with the vocal as well. So I'm gonna take that, copy that out.
Sure that before you move on to the next, you can listen to those two elements and exactly what you're improving with it. Like it instantly feels good. So you don't want to move on until you have that. Because if we just play those two, if you play real quick.
And I know that I'm in C minor, so I can then, if I wanted to, if you don't have time to like play something in like right now and you just want to get sounds in there, getting rid of that, let's go into some, I don't want a piano, I want a synth. And yeah, I'll just look for something in C minor that kind of works. Kind of perfect already, okay. Cool, cool. That actually does not work well. That sounded bad. That works better. Yeah.
This is where just playing around with your taste. So she projected in, it starts on the downbeat, so it's really slow. And then so I asked her to put it on the up.
Oh, sorry. All right.
Cool.
Now we have your vocal. Let's see if I can actually do anything with it. I think I can. So I'm gonna go to pitch, and also great. If you don't take away anything from this camp, take away this thing.
Listen up. Words of wisdom.
Pitch correction, auto-tune, melodyne, tuning your vocals is the key to getting something listenable. Because just psychology-wise, humans like hearing other humans. Most people in the world don't know music, don't know how to play an instrument, so they will connect to a record, a song, based on the vocal. So if your vocal is bad, even though the song might be good and the track sounds good, the whole record will sound bad because your vocal sounds bad. So the biggest thing about your vocal should be, it should be in tune. Every single big vocalist now, every artist, even people that you think don't use auto-tune, use auto-tune. Whether it's Melodyne, auto-tune, pitch correction in Logic, everyone will use it. So in Logic, it's actually free. So in any track, audio effects, go down to pitch, pitch correction, stereo, and it looks like this.
So just for those who maybe didn't see it, just under the input, there is another little bar there with those symbols, and that's where you can click and add plugins.
Audio effects, pitch, pitch correction, stereo. Now we want to put the key. I don't know what key this is, but I know what key I want it to be in. So I'm going to change it to minor. C minor, perfect. The response is how much auto-tune do we actually have on the track. I typically like to have between like 30 and 80 to actually get it to work. I will not say this is perfect right now, but we can see. Where before, let's see what it sounded like before, and it was definitely not there.
You sang this without any music underneath it. So you're just singing, but we found music in C minor, put auto-tune on it to put you in C minor, and everything gelled together.
Yeah, so this is before.
A little dissonant. It's kind of cool. You can tell it's going somewhere, but it still has this weird friction happening.
Yeah, it's a bit off, but let's hear it with auto-tune.
It's cleaner.
Sorry, I'm just putting some reverb on this baby. Let's have some fun.
And you're muted, Sachi, for the Zoom sessions.
What I would do is
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Go home, like you bounce it, you export it as something you could put on your phone, and on your way home you could listen to it and come up with lyrics and melodies and continue to get inspiration from it. But you're getting inspiration to your own beat. So imagine if you made 20 of these, and then you have them on your phone. Everywhere you're going, you're out in the city, you're getting inspiration. You can listen. You can start thinking of lyrics and concepts and ideas and start coming up with what could be a big project. So that is something. I mean, did everyone get a little beat down from yesterday to today? I feel like every laptop has something on it, right? Did anyone not? And that's totally fine if you didn't. Have something like a little couple bars of music. Someone didn't get it. Seems like everyone did. Okay, cool. Yeah, like everyone has a couple bars of music that they made that has drums, bass, harmony, melody. Okay.
Sorry, the Zoom people want to hear what I made real quick.
Yes.
Can you guys hear that? Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay, so we should talk, because we're running out of time, we should talk about exporting.
Yeah, let's save. So you guys all...
All right, the most important part, because nothing you did matters unless you do this correct. Yeah.
So let's...
Yeah.
And Sachi, we have I sent you your WhatsApp, but we have a Google Drive folder for them to save their first beats.
Hold on, Hannah. I kind of couldn't hear you. This is what pitch... yeah, Hannah, let me open it up so I can read your lips. Where are you? Okay, what did you say?
I sent everyone a Google Drive folder for them to export and save their first beats.
Okay, cool. I will share that with them because I can read your lips. That's why I know what you said. Okay. So I'll say that after I tell them how to export. So everyone should save your sessions now. So we talked about it yesterday on how to save a session. Let's go back. So File, Save As. Let's name it whatever you want. Hello, Part 2, Part 1. I want to make sure my date is in there, so 11/18/23. And then anyone that's in your group, I typically like to have my initials, so SRAS if it's me and Alex. Save it either onto your desktop, in the Logic folder, If you want to save it and be more organized, make a new folder and name it something else. Press save. Oh, yes, you should tick everything except for movie folder or whatever. So that's how you save it. Just make sure you save. Now we want to export. Everyone should listen up and listen to my words carefully because this can be confusing. There's a lot of different options when you're exporting. So first thing, if you zoom out, and on laptops it's easy to do, just do this, pinch in so that you can see the full session. At the very end, there's this black arrow going on. This is how long your session is in Logic. Drag it so it's kind of like closer to the end of your session so nothing's accidentally exported and it's like minutes and minutes of silence. It should not be yellow. Are you talking about this? This is not what I'm talking about. So if you drag out, there's a little arrow at the end. Click it and drag it so that there's some bars at the end of it, but not directly at the end of your song. Now we take the cycle that I was talking about, the loop. So if I click up here by the numbers and I drag it out to a bar after my song is done, that's a safe bet. Making sure you're getting everything you want in your export. Now we're gonna go to File, Bounce, Project or Section. Should look like this. So there's two different ways of bouncing out. The more professional way, if you're working with other people, if you're sending this to be mixed by someone else, if you're sending it to upload to Spotify on DistroKid or something, then you would use PCM and make sure that's clicked. You want to make sure that you're bouncing out a WAV file, not in AAIF. AAIF is Apple only. WAV is universal. For resolution, make sure it's 24-bit. Sample rate should be 48K, 48,000. Should say interleaved, no dithering. Normalize off. It might say on or overload protection. Make sure it's off. Include audio tail offline. And you can make sure that it's bouncing in between the right measures that you have. They should be the same as what's going on up here. So that's the first thing. Don't press OK yet. The second way, click on the MP3, what is that called? Bar, that MP3 bar, and also make sure it's clicked on. Under bitrate mono, change that to 320 kilobytes. And stereo should also be the same, the highest amount. This just means the highest quality that you can have your MP3 at. If you left it at 80, it would sound like a really bad recording, which you don't want. Make sure it's best encoded, filter frequencies, joint stereo, and then now we press OK. Tell it what to say, what to bounce it as. So I would say hello part 2, 11, 18, 23, mix 1, because it's my first iteration of it, on my desktop or in the folder that you created before. So finding that folder, you can search it up. So what I just taught, we're bouncing a WAV file, which is going to be bigger and sound better, but it's going to be way bigger, or an MP3, which is going to be way smaller, so better to send over text if it's just like, hey, listen to this song, and not really listen with high quality. But it's smaller in storage, so it's easier to send around. Yes? Yes, it's exporting everything at the same time. It's not exporting stems. Each one separately? Hold on, I'll get to that. Any other questions on this? exporting WAV or MP3? Yes. Same STEM question. Anyone, and I'll answer both of you. Anyone for just regular WAV MP3? Okay, so if I wanted to export stems, what I would do is click on all of my tracks, and there's also different ways of exporting stems. One way, which is going to be the best quality, but it's going to take a very long time, is you solo each track and bounce them out. You're going to get the best quality that way, but it's annoying. The other way, which is quicker and easier if you don't have any buses or any auxiliary tracks, is clicking, shift, highlighting every single track you have, file, export, 6 tracks as audio files. So that means every single track that's in there will be bounced out as its own audio file. So if I click that, I definitely want to make a new folder for this. Call it stems for hello part 2, again with the date there. Yes, trim silence at the end, make sure it's a WAV file, make sure it's 24-bit, make sure overload protection is off, include the audio tail, include volume and pan automation, and that is it, and then export. Then when you export, it will be in that folder that you saved it in, whatever this says up here, as individual stems. So when you highlight them and bring them into Logic, it should sound very close, if not exactly the same to what was your session is. The only reason I say it would sound very close is if you used any auxiliary tracks, because you can't stem out auxiliary tracks in Logic, which is why I would do solo one at a time. Takes a long time, or you can create a template, which also takes a long time. Yes?
So if you export stems, it exports the track with the effect sources, but if you have some auxiliaries or groups, it would not export the effects of the group?
So the group would also be its own track. So you would have double now. So let's say we had background vocals, and there's 6 background vocals, and I grouped them together, and I exported them, and I highlighted everything. I would have each of my 6 background vocals stemmed out, and the group track. So you need to go in and mute the group track, or mute all 6 of those stems. Yes?
Okay, so each audio, does it, when it's exported, does it just take the part when it was recorded, or the whole line?
So if you put trim silence at the end, it will cut it off at the end, but it should, and this is only correct when you do this, when you do the cycle, it should start from the same spot. All of them should be in the same spot. Different than FL. If you use FL, it is not the same and it's annoying. So all of these should be lined up exactly. Yes, yeah. How to export all the tracks, yes. So I want to take all of the tracks. Also, let me make sure Zoom is okay. Okay, great. I'll answer what a bus means later. So I'm gonna highlight everything. Click on the first one, hold down Shift, click on the last one. Now everything is highlighted. File, export, 6 tracks as audio files. It's important to do this one. If you do all tracks as audio files, then you might get things that you don't want in there. You can, and also don't do other ones, 22 regions as audio files, because this will take every single region and make it its own track, which you don't want. You want them as the tracks as audio files. Just another vocab thing. These are all tracks. Everything in here is a region. So that's the difference. So let me do that again. Highlighting, file, export, 6 tracks as audio files. I'm sorry, what did he say? Oh, yeah, let me get there. Trim silence, wave, not AIFF, 24-bit, include audio tail, so if there's like any reverb there, it will pick it up. Include volume and pan, so if it's pan to the left and it's at -13, it will be there. Overload protection off. That's really important. That means that it's adding its own compressor, or if you are clipping, it's gonna make it way quieter. So always, whenever it says normalize, turn that off because it's gonna be bouncing out something you don't know what it sounds like. Making sure you put it in the right folder, so making a new folder, and then export. Oh yeah, do that. Why not? Any other questions on exporting stems? Yeah. Yeah, so exporting stems is just audio. At that point, you can put those stems in any place that you want. So typically, the reason you would export stems are for 3 reasons. 1, to send to a collaborator that also works in Logic, where you could just send them the whole session, depends on what they want. So sending it to another collaborator for them to work in another Logic session or in another DAW. Sending your stems for someone to mix, or if you want to mix in like Pro Tools, mixing it in Pro Tools. 3rd reason is if your song is done and you want to perform it live, you would want to bounce out groups of your stems, so like just the guitars, just the piano, just the bass, just the drums, just the vocals, and putting that into Ableton Live to create a live session, so you can then do it. So when you have audio files, the whole song is there. You can put it in whatever DAW you want. That's up to you. It is, you cannot edit it. It's not like it's done. You can still do things, but you can't like change the plugins. You can't change the notes that are being played. You can like cut things out and add more plugins, but you can't go back. It's like committing. Yeah. Other questions? Nope. I have no idea. And I've tried to look, but the answer is no. No. AutoKey is literally the only thing I know that can detect a key. There might be something else out there, but I haven't found it, and I've tried looking. You learn music theory. Yeah, that's the answer. Or like creating a new track and just playing things until it sounds good to you. Yeah. Yeah, there's Ableton has AutoKey built in. It's called AutoKey by Ableton, by Antares. Yes, no, it's we're talking about the same plugin. Yeah, no, there's no other plugin except for AutoKey. Yeah. Okay, so any other questions on Zoom? I think we're gonna like head out soon, but I do want to talk to you guys just alone after I say goodbye to them, just so I can properly say goodbye to you guys and like see if there's anything I can do with you. Okay, cool. Alex is grooving to someone's song. I would ask him what to do next. Okay, well, so you guys should all have a link from Hannah to upload your work that you've been doing in the today, yesterday. So if you want to upload your work, it should be in WhatsApp. In WhatsApp. So bounce what you have the way that I said. If you have questions, let me know, and then upload it into that. What's it called? Upload it into the cloud. Sorry, guys, long day. And then so let's talk about the gear. So the gear is actually going home with you guys. In shorter terms, it's going home to some of you guys and then switching to the others. So you guys are all going to be put into groups. You're already in groups right now in terms of like style and genre, but these are going to be different groups in terms of location and who lives closest to who. So the way it's going to work is that there's going to be a leader that takes the gear home this time, and the next time you guys meet, you'll be switching off to the next leader of that group. Correct, Hannah? Okay, great. Stop me if I'm wrong. So let me just pull up the groups and let you guys know with who's going home with it today. And you should take home all the gear that's on your table right now. Okay. So, does this make sense? Let me see.
Yeah, their names are in orange on that sheet.
Oh, Do you think I can handle this? Yes. Tarek's gonna take over. Thank goodness. It's here. Ask Alec. Here you go. Hello.
Hello. I'm going to explain in Arabic one more time. Okay. انتوا دلوقتي مقسمين
Sachi, I have a question. Oh my god.
Hello.
Oh my god, that was a huge mess. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Can
what?
you hear me? Yeah, I can hear
Yeah.
you.
What's an audio bus? Because I hear this term a lot and it's confusing. I feel like I know what's a group, but I don't get what's an audio bus.
So an audio bus is an auxiliary track. It's just when you send one track to another track that is then like multiple tracks. It could be multiple tracks. So a group actually is a bus. It's a type of bus. But bus and auxiliary track means the same thing.
Okay, so can you give me an example with
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Let me share my screen. Oh goodness. I don't want that. So, can you hear me still? Yeah, okay, great. So I'm gonna click on a track. It says send. I'm gonna send it to a bus. So now, and I have to like drag that up. If I play it, just this, it's gonna be here and here. Sorry guys, they're clapping. Oh, thank you. I'm teaching buses right now. Any last words? Can I come right back to you? Okay. Oh, what?
That's fine. Thank you, everyone. I'm gonna walk around. Yeah. Oh yeah, we need a group photo. Okay, well, let's do a group photo, and then we'll walk around and help you guys make sure everything's exporting right and help you pack up. Right? Okay. Yeah, so we'll do a group photo, and then I'm gonna come around, Sachi will come around, we'll make sure you guys can export everything, pack it up nicely. And any final questions you have, let us know. Otherwise, we're always available if you do have follow-up questions. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
ما عندك مشكلة عندك يجي كل حد كراسي كده ما عندكش كيجي ولا صعصيد ولا
طب احنا ممكن نطلع فوق برضه بس حاسه
عايزة نجي ونطلع
ايوه مش هتفشخ
الترابيزة تستحمل يعني ده ايه وسيم
بجد؟
ما
هي خدتنا ونزلت
Are we smiling or ولا بنتسلك؟
Hi, bye. Bye.
Hi guys.
Bye, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Do you want me to finish with a buses?
I think we can do that next time. I'm not gonna forget, but I feel like that was a good closure, so I don't want to ruin it.
Okay. All right. It was great meeting you guys. Maybe I'll meet you in person one day. I don't know when that may be, but I hope you guys the best. Yeah, totally. Feel free to reach out to me. I think I gave Martina my email, but I'll give you guys on my email. Where the heck is the chat?
I can send it to you.
Yeah. But I like specifically want like the Zoom people to have a little bit more access. It's like they haven't, like, are not here in person. I just want to be a little bit more connected with you guys, just so it feels there. But yeah, totally. All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
And then
that was so sweet of her.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna send you guys her email address. Martina, I know you have it. But I'll send it to our like private group chat with the virtual participants. And then Sachi's gonna be our instructor for pop songwriting in the first week of December. So you'll hear from her again. But she's the best. Feel free to share your music with her. I'm also gonna create a folder. You guys, no one else knows this yet, but After today's session, you guys are welcome to share your music in Google Drive each week, every day, how often you want to do it. And then Navok's team and Navok's team of instructors, so like Sachi, Alex, Tamar, and some more instructors you guys haven't met yet, are going to listen through them and give you guys feedback week to week, so that you can improve your music and like apply what you're learning in class to your own creations. So I will share that folder with you guys too, and then Sachi will be one of the people actually going through them. So that's it.
Thank you.
The rest of your Saturday night.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
See you. Bye.